Welcome to this Tao guide. We're going to be doing a quick guide looking over at Tao. It's going to be split into sections, into parts. It's going to be 4 main parts. First part, we're just going to be talking about Tao, how she works, what she does, and what her abilities are. Then we're going to move over to weapons, where we're going to look at some weapons that are best suited for her. And then we're going to move on to artifacts, doing the same thing, looking at which artifacts are best suited for her, what sets you want to run, and what they do, and why they're so good. And we're going to finish off at what team composition is best for her, or at least what characters really mesh well with her and really unlock some more potential for this character. Now, starting off, she is a Pyro polearm user. And that's important to notice because Pyro is a very strong element, so we're off to a really good start. Pyro is going to enhance her DPS by a lot. Now let's look over at her elemental skill called Guide to Afterlife. Now once this ability is activated, Tao loses a portion of her HP and knocks surrounding enemies back. Then the attack is increased by the amount of HP at the activation of ability, which cannot exceed 400% of the base attack, which basically just means that it can't be 4 times more than base attack. Now what does this mean? This means that this is a trade-off. Once she activates her ability, she's going to be losing some HP, but trading in is going to be an attack increase based off the amount of HP she has once activated, meaning that she's going to be doing more damage when this is activated. Second part to this is obviously her polearm is going to be covered by Pyro, by fire. So that means that you're going to be doing elemental damage as well on top of your regular damage. So you're increasing damage, you're doing elemental damage, you're going to be, doing some damage. There is a small other mechanic here that is somewhat important. It's not too important because for her playstyle, I don't think it really benefits her too much, but if you use a charge attack, it will apply Blood Blossom effect. And all that means is that anyone who is affected by Blood Blossom will take Pyro damage every 4 seconds. This is, again, not too important because you're going to be not using many charge attacks or any charge attacks at all. So let's not focus too much on just that. Just a small showcase of what this looks like. She loses some HP there, and now it's covered with some flames. Perfect, understandable. Let's move on to her elemental burst, which is Spirit Soother. Spirit Soother deals Pyro damage in a large area of effect. Upon striking enemies, Tao regenerates a percentage of max HP. So every enemy that you hit with your Spirit Soother, will be increasing or regenerating some of her HP. This is important because if you look at her elemental skill over here, Guide to Afterlife, here she's losing HP so that she can have more damage. Spirit Soother comes in and is able to not only output some decent damage, but is also able to regenerate some health that she's been losing from using that Guide to Afterlife, that elemental skill. And this can stack up to a max of 5. So hitting 5 enemies is the max amount that you can get out of this. On top of that, if Tao's HP is below or equal to 50% when an enemy is hit, both damage and HP regen is increased. So you'll start to notice that Tao's abilities really revolve around her taking damage, outputting a lot of damage, and how these kind of seesaw and work together or in cohesion. Let's move on to weapons. This part is going to be talking about weapons. First, we have the Staff of Homa. This is an obvious pick. It's a 5-star. It's basically made for her. If we look at the description, it says HP increased by 20%. Number 1, why is that good? Because she is going to be scaling her attack off max HP. So the more HP you have, the more damage you'll be doing when you're using your abilities. Second part of this is additionally provides an attack bonus based on 0.8% of the wielder's max HP. And when the wielder's HP is less than 50%, there is an attack bonus of an additional 1% of max HP. So it really works a lot like her elemental skill over here. Here she's getting some attack bonus based on her HP, and the weapon does basically the exact same thing based on HP. It works really well because it's just basically stacking on something that's already happening. You're already building her to do more damage based on that HP, and the staff is also doing the same thing and helping in so many different ways. It does great damage, it has crit damage for a substat. It's for sure the staff that was built for her. Now there is a second option that I think is just as good, and it's more possible that you'll have this one, which is Dragon's Bane. Dragon's Bane does some good damage, has Elemental Mastery for a substat, which is great because if you're doing a lot of pyro damage. And the best part is over here. The details say increases damage against opponents affected by Hydro or Pyro, or both. I have it at Refinement 3, so it's at 28%. This is really good because of course she is a Pyro user, so you're going to be doing a lot of Pyro damage. But it also increases Hydro damage, which is really important to note because when we talk about another character that works really well with her, you'll notice that this staff in particular is really great for Hu Tao in this enhancer, in this catalyst to her build. Let's move on to artifacts. Artifacts is hands down you're going to be wanting to be using the Crimson Witch of Flames. You can use Noblesse Oblige, but I don't recommend it. Using Gladiator's Finale is alright as well. I mean, it's going to increase attack damage, and if she's using a polearm, more damage. But because a lot of her kit is surrounded around doing pyro damage, Crimson Witch of Flames takes the cake for her. There's a pyro damage bonus of 15% for the 2-piece, and the 4-piece set increases overloaded and burning damage of 40%, and as well increases vaporize and melt damage by 15%. And on top of that, it also uses on the elemental skill, when you pop it, meaning the guide to afterlife when your staff is on fire, it's going to increase your 2-piece set bonus by 50%. So you're going to be doing even more damage on top of the damage that you're already stacking up. Now it's important to note that this has increased overloaded by 40%. This will be important later on when we're talking about builds, but by a long shot, Hu Tao is made to match up with this set. I don't really recommend running anything else. It shouldn't be too hard for you to get this. It's not too bad if you have substats that are HP, or even your flower having a lot of HP is fine because she is also surrounded by that HP mechanic, and you want to, abuse it basically. And finally, we're going into the teams. Now, I talked about a lot of things and said that I would kind of answer them later. And this is where the important stuff comes in, because the best in slot to go along with Hu Tao is Xingqiu. Why is it so great? First of all, is that the banner to get Hu Tao, Xiangling is on it. Xiangling is right on it. So if you got Hu Tao, you most likely got a Xiangling. Maybe you even got some constellations or max your constellations, just like I did. And that's and even if you didn't get Xingqiu, on the banner, you probably got him from the event that just passed about a couple weeks ago or a week or two ago. And why is it so great, you might be asking, is number one, we need to realize one thing. Hu Tao is a pole arm character. What does that mean? That she can do a lot of consecutive attacks really quickly. When we're talking about hits per second, a polearm user has the highest number. You could debate that something like a bow user can also have the same amount, but since no bow user can actually, hit a character or an enemy with an element at the same time as just using your auto attack, polearm ends up taking the cake. Maybe sword is really close by, but it's really important because Xingqiu's ultimate, or Xingqiu's elemental burst, the rain cutter, is based off of your attack. So when you do an attack, these blades will fall from the sky and do damage, and it's also hydro damage. So first thing to note is that you're going to be doing vaporized damage. Pyro added to hydro, you're going to be doing vaporize, which increases your damage. Now, Xingqiu's elemental burst in itself does good damage without any elemental combination, but add that to the Hu Tao Pyro elemental combination and you're even doing a lot more damage. She's getting boosted damage on her own. Now you're using Pyro and Hydro, which boosts each other. The rain cutter blades are doing their own amount of damage. You're going to be doing massive amounts of damage. You're going to have to trust me. It's absolutely broken. On top of that, Xingqiu is great at just building his burst consistently, like non-stop. You'll see a Xingqiu pop a burst non-stop, and he just really feeds into himself. He's a really versatile unit, and it works amazing with Hu Tao. And there's no other way to say this. If you have a Hu Tao, you run a Xingqiu. If you're not running Xingqiu with Hu Tao, you're being an idiot. and you're limiting yourself and you're making things harder for yourself. Do yourself a favor, run Q. I put that sacrificial sword on him I got 80% chance that it will just regenerate back on his elemental skill. This is the best in the slot for him. Novice Oblige, best for him. It's gonna help do even more damage, and hands down, you need to have Q on your team. Another character is Bennett. Bennett's great overall, but the best part is that he's also a pyro character. So you have Tao and Bennett feeding into each other, creating a lot of elemental particles. And again, Bennett does good healing, but on top of the healing, he does damage. He does a lot of damage, and it's really gonna help with this combination over here, so that Tao's even doing more damage. And the best part also is that he only heals up to 75%. So this 50% HP bonus that you get from staff and from Guide to Afterlife or Spirit Soother is gonna be there most often, and you don't really need some crazy healing, because if you look at it, Q does healing, Tao does healing, Bennett's gonna help with the healing. You're gonna be for sure doing damage, you're for sure gonna be staying alive. They are an amazing combination. And finally, to top it off, is Fischl. Oh, sorry, I need to look at Bennett's weapons. Bennett, I have a Favonius sword on him and Noblesse Oblige. Very simple stuff. Now, Fischl is really interesting. And at first, I put Ganyu in her position, just because Ganyu is so broken and works so well, and she's cryo, so you're gonna be doing some pyro cryo elemental damage, which is really good. It's really strong. It's technically better than Overloaded, but if you remember, in the Crimson Witch Flames, you get 40% damage increase on Overloaded. On top of the fact that if you run Fischl on Thundering Fury 4-piece, which is what I recommend, it increases damage caused by Overloaded as well. So you're gonna be getting a lot of increased damage, on top of the fact that if you do Pyro and Electro damage together, you're gonna be doing AoE Pyro damage. That's the elemental reaction for them. And that's great because you're already getting more damage through Tao herself, more damage from Q, more damage from Bennett, and on top of that, you're gonna be doing that damage in an area of effect and doing a lot of damage. So it's gonna be great for fighting single bosses, for fighting a large group of enemies. It's gonna be a great combination, on top of Fischl just being so good because she can have Oz on the field basically 100% of the time. I used to think maybe Ganyu was better, and maybe there is a case to say that Ganyu maybe fits better in this team, but I think that Fischl is such a great character, and on top of that is a character that you should have for free. And it's just gonna be the best combination of characters for you. I have Stringless on her for her weapon and artifacts. Again, I recommend 4-piece Thundering Fury. I don't have it on her at the moment, but that's the one you want to run. Any other characters that worked really well with Tao were Ganyu, a decent replacement for Fischl. Mona's good, but is not as good as Q, because she really is a kind of a one-hit character. You're gonna be doing single hits of huge amount of damage. There's a really cool combinations you can do with Mona to do one hits on like bosses and stuff. But for this build, that's not what you want to go for. Tao doesn't work that way. Q is just a way better pick, but Mona is good because she's a Hydro character and is gonna be doing that Hydro job as Q does as well. Just not as good in my opinion. You could put Sucos in there. I wouldn't recommend it. You really want to keep Tao, Q, and Bennett in this team. So the only character that I would be okay with kind of switching and experimenting would be Fischl. Again, Ganyu. You could put Sucos in that position as well. I wouldn't really recommend anyone else. They're just going to be the best in the slot to really help her out. But this four-man team, 2 women, 2 men team is absolutely wonderful, and you cannot undermine how strong this is. This is, in my opinion, one of the strongest compositions in the game, and it's great because Tao's a fun character to play, and the way she works with Q is absolutely amazing. That's going to be all for the guide. I hope it made all the sense you possibly make. Go back, re-look at things. And yeah, if you want to check me out on Twitch, I'm at twitch.tv/typhoon with 2 H's and 2 O's, and I'm playing Genshin on there. And if you have any questions, you can go to there or just comment down here on the YouTube video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.